In this episode of Leading Out Loud, Jose Izarpate shares his inspiring journey from a 15-year-old veterinary assistant in East LA to becoming a senior talent acquisition manager, helping to shape the future of the profession. His story challenges the common belief that clinical work is the only meaningful path in veterinary medicine and reveals the vast ecosystem of roles that quietly help the industry move forward. All right.
Jen, how you doing?
All right. So let me get professional here real quick. Sorry. You distracted me because it's been like years since I've
Yeah.
seen you, over a live Zoom, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So today we have the honor of having Jose Izaparte
Got it.
join us. Jose, I think we've known each other almost a decade.
Decade. It will be a decade in on April 24th to be exact.
Oh, you
So
got the date, like
I
you
got
got
the
the
day locked in.
anniversary date.
Yes, I got the anniversary date, Bridget, because you've been a key pillar in my career. So
Oh,
April 24th is coming up. So that's gonna be a decade of
oh
friendship.
my God. Well, Chandel and I got commemorative tattoos at the 10-year mark.
Dang, what do we need to get, man? Like a Los Angeles, like
Yes,
Cali stuff? Like we need to get some Cali stuff.
yeah, we got to represent the West Coast.
Let's go. That's right. West Coast, man.
All right. I appreciate you taking the time, first and foremost. And what I thought would be really interesting with you, Jose, obviously, I've known you in different capacities in vet med. And, when I was thinking about who to invite as a guest, what I think is really interesting with your career is where you've started and where you are now. And so, for those listeners that have not had the privilege of knowing you, would you mind kind of just filling everyone in on where did you start and where are you today?
Yeah, absolutely, Bridget. And before we dive into that, I'm probably going to say this throughout the entire interview, but huge shout out to you for just
Oh,
being a beacon of light and a good mentor in my early stages of my career. I tell you that every single day. You probably get tired of it. You're like, Jose, stop. I get it. But I'm not going to stop because part of my career, you played that role so significantly. So I want to give you your flowers before we
oh,
get started. But going back to your question, I think my journey in vet med, traditional where we hear it a lot, right? Starting off as a veterinary assistant, aka kennel, pretty much
mhm.
janitor work, slowly gravitating towards pursuing licensure. So RVT certification was something that I was keen on. But when I first started, I was 15 years old, started here in the East LA area, working at a shelter, kind of starting to clean out kennels, doing the basic groundwork of kennel cleaning and maintenance and stuff like that. Then fast forward through the community college where I attended, I was placed in a work experience program and I was placed in a hospital. I was hired as a veterinary assistant, hybrid receptionist. I took on the role with no pay, and then they offered me the position at $8.50. This was back in the days,
You're old.
50 cents back in the days, but I took it, and this was something where my career just kind of took off. I never shied away from an opportunity. Everything that came to my bucket, I always said yes, absolutely, with a positive attitude. So I took on multiple hats. So not to get far into the tangent world, I'm always a believer in self-investment. I started seeing what credential technicians or someone in leadership can do within the industry, and I started taking focus on developing those skills, right? I'm a self-learner, autodidact, if you want to call it, but I've always invested in my professional development, pursued my RVT. And after I got my RVT, kind of the floodgates opened up into management, managing two practices, hybrid practices, ER, critical care exotics, all that stuff. And then I found myself kind of 85, 90% of the time as a hospital manager giving career advice to veterinarians or my support staff. And then finally, I kept getting the feedback, Jose, you're good at coaching, you're good at motivating. You found me this job, you are doing a great job at just kind of bridging the gap of what I enjoy doing and what I don't enjoy doing. And then slowly but surely, I got into talent acquisition. I found my seat on having those conversations internally with and found myself in talent acquisition is where I'm at now. And I've been doing it for well over a decade now, both on the GPER critical side and all that good stuff. So kind of been a long journey, but this is where I'm at now as a senior talent acquisition manager for the West Coast division.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. Something I've always appreciated about you And I think partly maybe why we clicked way back in the day is you're a hustler.
Yeah.
You know, like, and in the very best way possible. And what I mean by that is you can give you a barrier and you will find a way. Like nothing will stop you. And what I particularly appreciate is you have always been so positive. And you and I have been through it. Like we've probably trauma bonded, right? Like all that. And you
Yes.
are always, always positive. I don't think I've ever seen you outwardly sad or mad. It's just like this love and light, you know?
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate that, Bridget. And that's where I think in vet med, and we might dive into it further along in the
Yeah.
conversation, but I think well-being, having a positive outlook on any dynamics that come your way, whether it's professional, personal, is taking the high road and knowing that there is going to be, the sun's going to come up tomorrow and it's going to be a new day to start over. So yeah, I haven't changed. So
Yeah.
it's for real.
No.
Like it's
Yeah.
not been like
This is
a
you.
character, a facade. I've been like this pretty much my whole life. So I'm glad you recognize that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this,
Yeah.
only because again, I feel like your journey is a little bit unique. You know, there's a lot of vet professionals that feel like clinical work is the only path. What made you realize that there were other ways that you could contribute to the profession, but outside of the hospital?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And the way I see it is, you know this very well. You've also paid your dues in vet med. Veterinary medicine is a large ecosystem, right? There's a lot of layers you can navigate or pursue certain certifications to dive into veterinary medicine a little bit deeper. But what I started noticing is the influence you can have on building a team around cultural fit and aligning those pillars of talent acquisition, whether it be veterinary professionals, RVTs to doctors, and what the team dynamic does internally. That's where I started seeing, RVT is amazing. I love placing catheters. I love exotic medicine. You know that very well. I worked teaching for the LA Zoo, which is a dream come true, but I always found myself figuring out, what does a healthy work culture look like? What can I pursue further?
Mhm.
And that's where I started getting into more of the talent acquisition side. And I say, you know what? I'm good at RVT stuff. I'm doing it often, but I keep finding myself having these conversations, whether it's in the treatment area, outside of this, guest speaking at, conferences or whatnot. Like I'm inspiring people to step out of their comfort zone. Let me see what else is out there. And talent acquisition, again, came to me and I was like, oh, I can talk about tech stuff and vet med, but still align someone with a career opportunity with the practice that they love and enjoy. Okay, sign me up for it. Let me do that. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, perfect. So you're a matchmaker.
Matchmaker. There you go. Yes, 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 indeed.
I love that. Can you tell me, with your knowledge now, especially in the recruiting
Yeah.
space, what are some misconceptions that people have about veterinary recruiters or talent acquisition professionals?
That's a very good question. I think the biggest misconception that we hear a lot as talent acquisition managers or recruiters is that we're just looking to fill a role, which
Mhm.
in general isn't the case at all. You said it earlier, we're matchmakers. We take our time to really look at the long-term fit for the associate as well as the practice. And we truly, truly take pride in having those thoughtful conversations, whether it's through the interview process. But I guess the biggest misconception that we hear a lot is you're just trying to fill a role, get a body in a practice,
Yeah.
check that off your box. But in reality, there's a lot more to recruitment and the conversations that we have as talent acquisition managers. They dive into not only proficiency, but also what that doctor is seeking long term, whether that's becoming a medical director or a chief of staff advisor. So it's a very different layer to it. But the biggest misconception going back to it is, you're looking to fill a role, which is not the case. We're
Right.
looking at it more long term for the practice as well as the candidate side as well.
Yeah, which I can appreciate because I
Yeah.
would hope if you care about this role for the organization that it's a long-term fit, right? Like you're not trying to just put a warm body in a spot, but you hope that it is truly a match and that you're not trying to find that same position for that same group a month from now.
Exactly. No, and the other thing too to add to that is a good match pays dividends long term, like I
Sure.
mentioned, because not only bridges the culture of that practice, but also gives that associate that was seeking lateral career growth, right? Long-term fit, longevity, leadership opportunities. They're not staying stagnant in their role. So it's very like, for lack of better words, like it's talent acquisition, but it's matchmaking, ensuring we have a good partnership and gloves fit on both hands with the
Yeah.
candidate and the practice itself.
Yeah, yeah. Um, with your knowledge, what do you find that veterinary professionals often misunderstand about the recruiting process? Like, is there a gap in knowledge?
There is. I think that it's a two-way conversation. It's not necessarily how it was back in the days where you and I are used to applying for a job and we have to be the ones that shine bright and put our best behavior, dress up. Now the times have changed drastically. Now we're looking at it twofold conversation, meaning the employer to designated employee having those two-way conversations to ensure like, hey, here's what we have to offer transparently. Here are our internal core values. Do they align with you? But understanding that it's going to be a two-way conversation. It's not one size fits all. I can't force you to say this practice aligns with what you're seeking. When in generalized, you're looking for high volume dentistry, this practice has zero. They're not doing it.
Right.
So it's not an alignment. But I think the biggest thing is having those two-way conversations, ensuring that you're understanding what that veterinary professional is truly, truly seeking and what fills their cups, to be honest with you, Bridget, whether it be, dentistry, surgery, internal medicine, truly, truly finding what sparks their interest as a
Mhm.
practitioner is very pivotal for sure.
You know, in my opinion, and I want you to call me out if I'm totally wrong, as a candidate, let's say, I think similar to what you're suggesting, yes, maybe you're going for an interview, but equally you should be interviewing that employer, that potential boss, asking about their leadership style, the culture of the clinic. I'm seeing you nod, so I'm assuming you're affirming. Is that really what we would encourage of a candidate, or am I going to piss you guys off?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. And I think as a seasoned recruiter and someone that you speak to that's been doing it for a long time, specifically in our industry, it
Mhm.
is exactly what you just unpacked, is coming in with that transparency up front and asking those questions openly, right? Because you're signing up for it
Yeah.
long term. We don't want you to be in a seat for 60, 90 days, which is the general rule of thumb of turnover in vet med. We want you to be in the seat long term. So coming in with those honest questions truly help us out understand where you want to grow in your profession. So no, you are spot on. That is exactly what we see as professionals on what we do on our side on talent acquisition.
Okay. As somebody that would interview potential candidates, what are some subtle signals that tell you someone is going to be a good cultural fit for the hospital or organization that you're looking to employ them at?
That's a good question. I think a few things that I look at if it's going to be a good cultural fit is I would say I've interviewed thousands of doctors nationwide, and at the very beginning of the conversation, you're able to kind of get into that person's head of what they're seeking, right? Certain words, certain hot buttons on what they're not seeking. But if I hear a doctor saying collaboration and teamwork, that to me is the foundation of vet med. You spend more time with your team
Yeah.
than your significant other. And that has not changed in veterinary medicine up to this point. But I think when I hear someone say those two key words, to me, they're looking at a long-term fit. Of course, we get into compensation and scheduling, but what I've learned through my conversations with doctors is if I can pick up 2 to 3 words that they're saying from beginning of conversation with me, mid conversation to the end of conversation, that is something that I feel truly aligned with that practice cultural fit. So I would
Mhm.
say teamwork and collaboration. If I hear that, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good fit for sure.
Okay. And then conversely, what about some red flags that maybe a candidate doesn't even realize they're showing during a hiring process?
Yeah, I think, quite honestly, we try our best to stay in line with equal employment opportunities, so making sure that we're aligned with those aspects. But I think red flags can sometimes be, within our industry specifically, because it is a tight-knit community, is when we have candidates that may say something bad about their current employer, past employer, we understand that there's dynamics that may be developed during those employment times, but
Sure.
understanding that we're looking for how did you handle those situations constructively? Were you able to take feedback? How did you navigate those trials and tribulations, so to speak? I would say that would be kind of like a little red flag, but understanding if they come back and say, this happened, but how I addressed it and streamlined it, this is what got me to the next level. They kind of salvage it. But
Yeah.
if you hear like, they did this, they did that, that's kind of like, okay, we want to make sure, how did you handle that? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, what was it that allowed you to break that barrier, have that difficult conversation, so to speak?
Yeah. You just made me think of a recent post that I saw
Yeah.
from somebody on LinkedIn. And it was provocative. And I want your opinion because I think it's appropriate for this topic. So essentially, what this person was saying was like, I find it hard to believe that every candidate left their past employer on good terms and that everyone likes each other and everything was amicable. And the person that posted this was kind of like, just tell me you got fired. Yes. And I don't know how I feel about that. And we know it happens. And sometimes it happens to phenomenal people that maybe there is a reorganization, maybe, the position they were in becomes redundant. So I want to say like no fault of their own, but it's almost like a scar that you then carry forward. How does a person navigate that? The F word.
Yeah, that's a good question. One thing that you look at is you mentioned it briefly. There's a lot of things that could have transpired for that person being fired, terminated, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Whether it's mergers, they're stagnant, they're not being challenged
Sure.
strategically, or culture has been a big one. But I think when someone navigates being terminated and they're going into their next career opportunity, is truly understanding that it wasn't solely about them. Because a lot of times, what I've had conversations with candidates is they
Mhm.
feel that guilt, like I'm
Mhm.
worthless, I got fired, I don't belong here, like what else is out there? And they're very timid. And these are seasoned doctors, specialists that come in. But I think going back to like a good recruiter is guiding them and being their concierge through the hiring process and reassuring them that, stuff happens out of your control, in your control. But I think how you respond to it at this moment, you're doing the right steps. We're having a conversation. You're exploring career opportunities with my organization. You are taking a big step based on what the emotions you went through. So I would honestly say navigating it with confidence, navigating it with reassurance that there is going to be a brighter side. And maybe this is just my optimism and positivity that you mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
but we dive into it very strategically because we know there's certain hot buttons that can trigger a conversation to go sideways, right? If I
Sure.
resemble their past employer or I say a certain word that kind of, ticks them off, and understanding the styles of communications during that conversation. Let's turn the page and here's where we're at now, reassuring them that you are amazing, you can do this stuff. So it's something that I do a lot during my conversations when we have that question come up. So
Okay.
good question though. Good, very
Thank,
good question.
thank you. Yeah, I was curious. And I
Yeah.
didn't comment. I kind of wanted to, but I was like, oh, like, what are they? That's like clickbait.
Like, don't dive in there, man, because then they'll
Yeah.
tag you, they'll screenshot you, you'll end up
Right.
as a meme. So you're good. Don't
Yes.
dive
Yes. Yeah. So I didn't touch that one. I just looked from afar.
in.
In your opinion, what is something that candidates should always do before an interview that most people maybe don't even think about or they completely skip it?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that sometimes gets skipped is most candidates don't do their research on that employer,
Okay.
that company. However, what I do encourage them is to look at the Yelp reviews, look at the internal core values that that company faces, whether it be something that aligns with you professionally and personally, but do your research. Do your
Hmm.
research early on prior to diving into that conversation, because once you get on a call, whether it be a video or a phone call with that recruiter, we're going to unpack the amazing layers that our company has to offer. But if you've done your diligence and done your research, this gives you a broader scope of what am I getting myself into? Am I prepared to ask questions? What are some core values that align with you? And I think just ensuring that they're doing their research
Yeah,
on the company as a whole, but also the practice that they're initially applying to.
sure. In your opinion,
Yeah.
what makes a candidate immediately memorable in a positive way?
Yes, I love this question. And I've had quite a handful of doctors that I still stay connected that have left an impression on me. And I think some of their characteristics have been engagement, empathy, and follow through and honesty, to be honest
Okay.
with you. Throughout the entire conversations, as I mentioned, whether it be a phone call or video call, they're engaged, they're smiling, they're bubbly, they're asking very good, solid questions. But not only that, it's a fruitful conversation when it's not robotic. And I think when the moments they've left that impression on me, I've seen the true engagement, their bubbly side, but it's not fake. You can really sense the authenticity and they're truly excited about the opportunity. And again, VetMed is a tight-knit community, so we all know everyone. So I think going back to, the engagement and them being their authentic self, to be honest
Yeah,
with you, the
be
entire
you.
process. Be
Yeah,
you. Like
yeah.
that is the most memorable thing because even when I go to conferences and I talk to doctors that I've interviewed,
Mhm.
they're still the same person as they were on my video calls. And they're like, Jose, what's up? How are you doing? Like, I'm good. How are you? How's Fluffy doing? Like, we dive into those layers. And I think the authenticity component really makes that memorable experience for any recruiter. And you could talk to any other recruiter, they'll tell you that exact same thing. It's like those impressions really imprint us very well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to switch gears here on you.
Oh, no.
We're
Oh,
gonna we're gonna move from it felt a little like an interrogation, so I
yeah.
didn't mean it to be. I'm just so interested in what you have to say
Let's
about the
go.
process.
Yeah, you're good.
I want to flip it and do some rapid fire questions
Okay.
and just top of mind, like, what do you think? What do you think? So, resumes,
Yes.
how many pages?
Resumes, I think be concise. I think one-page resumes are very fruitful. You don't want to over-engineer it because I think as a recruiter, we're going to dive into those special niches that make you that person and what experiences you've had. That first page highlight your, present, current employer, whatnot. And then as we move into the conversation, we'll unpack it further. So short answer, one pager, make it
Mhm.
concise, simple. Don't want to get into the logistics of an ATS and how that parses over, but it's literally a one pager would be very concise and very straight to the point, in my opinion.
Okay. In the spirit of transparency, you are stressing me out with that answer. So
Why?
I've got some work to do.
Why? 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 Tell me.
Too many pages. But let's leave it at that.
No, and I think what it is honestly it's the way we look at it from the talent side
Yeah.
is whether you're applying as a doctor, ops person or whatnot, that key pager gives us a very skyline view of your highlights and strength. I think once you go into like 4-5 or 3-2, it's just kind of like we know you're cool, we know you're good.
Right.
Let's dive into the
It's too
conversations.
much. You're doing
Yeah,
too
like
much.
let's just talk, like, and then we talk to doctors a lot, and we've
Mhm.
had mock resume build outs for doctors, specialists, and we've encouraged them keep it concise,
Okay.
and be yourself. Once you get that phone call or on-site visit, shine bright and lay it all out there.
Yeah. Okay. What is the biggest interview mistake you have ever seen? So
Man,
no names, obviously, or
I'm not
maybe
dropping.
maybe you've heard, right?
Yeah, I'm
We're
gonna
gonna
say
keep you safe.
let's
Maybe a
keep it.
friend told you they saw.
A small bird told me, or I
Yes.
did this for the grapevine. But
Yes.
the biggest mistake is not asking your questions throughout the, I would say, interview process, but I don't like to call them interviews, more casual conversations, and leaving the conversation like you could have unpacked more to get more out of that conversation.
Yeah, fair. In your opinion, what is the most underrated quality in a veterinary candidate? So, what is something people show up with, but like maybe we don't talk a lot about it?
EQ, which you know
Oh,
very
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
very well. That is your jam. And that's something that I learned from you
Fair.
again is emotional intelligence. I think that's the most missed skill attribute, whatever you want to call it, but it's a big component in our industry. Very big. And you're a guru on this and you know this very well. I would say EQ and communication would be my two. And you've worked with specialists, I work with specialists, and having that diverse personality that can handle conflict in a EQ fashion and understand those conversations really go a long way, sure.
So good. You surprised me with the answer, but it makes so much sense. We talk a lot about leadership, obviously, but I think recruiting and candidacy is just as important for a well-rounded episode, quite frankly. And it is almost like for years and years and years, we as an industry were so focused on the medical skill set of can you place a catheter, can you intubate, can you extubate, all of that, which yes, that's important.
Yes. Mhm.
But we didn't talk about the soft skills side of candidacy or leadership. And it's almost like it was always there, it was always needed. And then we woke up and we're like, shit, that's why everyone's always fighting.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
See, that is exactly it, Bridget. And that is where, to this day, that is something that I carry. It's not talked about enough in our industry.
yeah,
Talk about proficiency. We talk about, can you perform X amount of surgeries? Can you do all this cool stuff as a practitioner? Sure, you can, absolutely with training. But I think the hardest skill to learn without repetition is EQ and the styles of communication. And any good leader that I've been blessed to work alongside have shown those EQ levels. You're one of them. And I can drop name a bunch of them right now that I've seen them spearhead like really cool dynamic conversations, but do it in a subtle way where they understand that person's feeling
yeah,
and they do it so authentic,
yeah,
and I love it. And I've mirrored that to this day, and it's very close to heart component skill set
yeah.
for sure.
Great point. Great point. Okay. Interview, scrubs or business attire?
Yeah, I think it varies. I think honestly, what we're seeing now, we try to keep things, I'm speaking as a whole industry and recruitment,
Yeah.
keep it casual. I think the initial first impression is going to set you apart. Obviously, if you're invited to do a relief shift or whatever, come in for, shadowing day, scrub tire is important. But I think that first impression, you want to, dress good, feel good. You look good, you feel good. So it varies depending on what that initial style of approach is going to be. I like to dress up. Me personally, for first impressions, you know me very well. You do this, you do an amazing job at that too. But I like to dress up if it's going to be something where I know I'm not going to have to get my hands dirty. So time and place, I would say, but dress up because it makes you feel good, you look good, and it's a first impression that truly sets you apart and sets the tone. So,
But I will say this, I
mm,
agree. I have worn Converse in a boardroom. And I
dang,
will continue to do so because
you
the
are,
one thing that pains me, and maybe it's just like where I'm at in my professional journey, it
yeah,
pains me in particular to see women ice skating in heels on a
yeah.
hospital floor when we all know damn well you're not going to be wearing Louboutins in treatment. So
No.
just don't break an ankle. Maybe business casual, be comfortable,
I love
but
that.
don't kill yourself over this.
I love that. No, and you would be the one to be rocking some
I
Converse.
would.
I could
And I
already
have.
see you on that, and I know you have. I think I even seen you at when we were at PVA and you were spearheading some QBRs. You came in like that, and I was like, man, she's authentic and she's running it. You know what I mean? Like you did your thing. But no, to your point, like you don't want to come in on some, Louis Vuittons, Gucci. It's
Right.
no, you're not going to be doing that. So be comfortable.
Yes.
Be
Yes.
yourself. That's
Unless
great. You
there's some
do.
slides, some Gucci slides.
There
But
you
I
go.
digress. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile, is it helpful or irrelevant in vet med hiring?
Man, this has been a key topic of our industry at this moment. You need to have an account. We're seeing a lot of LinkedIn profiles on resumes at the very top. It
Mhm.
is a good networking place. I've worked out of LinkedIn for a very long time. I've seen it change from where it truly was job posting and stuff like that. Now we have different articles that come out, whether it's postings. I do the same thing. I'll post my running attributes, some of my kids' pictures, but I say keep it, and we encourage like new grads to highlight those URL links to a LinkedIn account. And we've also had some mock talks on how to spice up your LinkedIn account because there's ways you can create carousels to make you stand out for potential employers. I geek out on LinkedIn, to be honest with you. It's
Mhm.
big.
Yeah.
And it's something that once you're in there and you have a big network, you'll get a lot of traction with it. And a lot of people will DM you for opportunities
Yeah.
or networking stuff.
I agree. And it pains me sometimes because even to this day, some of my veterinarian friends I'll ask and they're not on LinkedIn. And I'm like, what? Like, no, you have to keep a profile, update it, even if you're not on it every day. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Jose, I have had numerous job offers
Yep.
from just having a LinkedIn profile. It's passive. I've done nothing.
I tell you that no, but it is a huge, huge component on highlighting your skills and attributes, Bridget. In recruitment, we've utilized that significantly and we've coached doctors to create a profile. I know some seasoned doctors that I work closely with, they're like, nah, I don't do social media, Jose. I'm good. I don't want to do it. Truly understandable.
Yeah.
But I think if you're looking to network, see what that corporation you're going to potentially work at, create a LinkedIn account, follow their page because you can get in-depth information of what are they doing for their community, what are they doing for mentorship, what's the number of employees that this company has, what has been some successes. So if you go to any company you want to apply to, they have a corporate account. You can click on it, go into their about section, look at their about profile. It takes you into more in depth of what the company is. So, and
Mhm.
we as recruiters utilize that significantly to our advantage, and it's been very helpful. I love it. I love it.
What about you have a LinkedIn profile, you have no profile picture?
You gotta put a picture. You gotta put a picture. I think you gotta put a picture,
Yeah.
whether it be a headshot, you holding your furry baby. We don't shy away from it because we know, like in our industry as recruiters, we know our profession is very introverted.
Yeah.
So I've had some very fruitful conversations with candidates that don't have a LinkedIn profile picture. If you're shy, totally cool, grab a puppy. That'll take
Yeah.
the attention off you a little
Put it in
bit.
front of your face.
Yeah, that'll take it off you a little bit. I would encourage it, to be honest with you. We want to see who you are.
I agree. I'll be honest because I feel safe with you and I'm
Yeah.
sure no one's listening.
No, you're good. Nobody's
Those
good.
creep me out for real. Because I just feel like you went through the effort of
Yeah.
creating a profile.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like get
Put
creative, like you're saying, or
pictures.
even with AI now, like you could put in a horrible picture and it'll send you something decent. Like,
Hey,
give me a clue. It's giving witness protection,
witness protect.
and
Yeah.
I'm not about that, you know?
No, Bridget.
So,
Yeah.
Jose, you talk to veterinary professionals across the industry from all kinds of hospitals. What trends are you seeing and what people want out of their careers today?
A few things that come to mind. The dangling carrot we hear a lot is work-life balance. Everyone's seeking it. My work-life balance looks different from yours, but one of the key things that our professionals are looking is it is work-life balance, supportive leadership, mentorship, and healthy team cultures. I think those are the key components that I hear like this is what I want. This is what I'm seeking. And this is kind of what I've been writing down for the thousands of doctors I've interviewed nationwide has been these pillars. Work-life balance is very, very big, especially in our industry, because we do have high volumes of burnout, as you know very well, Bridget. Suicide rate is there too. So work-life balance, a lot of doctors are scaling back. Back in the days, remember we used to work 5/8 every weekend. That is no go, no more. Now we're curating schedules that truly align with professionals' personal obligations outside of work. We do a phenomenal job of aligning with what they need to do to fill their cups up before they start their day.
Yeah. If there's one piece of advice that you could give a veterinary leader that might be listening today. So in this scenario, I'm viewing it as somebody looking to hire a candidate. What advice would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say if you're looking to hire a candidate is understanding that the investment is going to be a key component. Truly invest in your people. If you're hiring this individual, ensure that there's going to be resources available for them. And that's what I mean about investment is ensuring that there is going to be layers that they can grow into or out of to ensure that they don't stay stagnant. But truly important as a leader, invest in your people. I think that is going to be the biggest thing, and retention is very, very big, and that's where I feel investment plays a key component in that.
Yeah. Just thinking back in my own history and instances where I've had to do an on-site hire at a
Mhm.
hospital or wherever
Mhm.
I've been. One thing I would add to that, as the person doing the interview, is be kind to the candidate. I think that sometimes in the day to day, people get so busy and it almost becomes a task, if you will. And just to remind individuals, this is somebody's life. This is somebody's career. We don't know if they've been out of work and looking for months and, on their last dollar. Like, take it seriously. Give them your time. Number one, if you chose the time and date, give them that time. But also, I think it is your job to help make them comfortable. And I think back, this was way years and years and years ago. I had an individual interview with me, and on paper, she was great. She was so nervous. It was palpable, and I knew it. I saw it. I could tell. Despite my effort to make her comfortable, she remained nervous, and as a result, was not a strong interview. I brought her back another day,
Yeah.
and I had told her over the phone, I said, listen, I see your value. I think you could be the right person.
Mhm.
I think you struggled. I think you were nervous. I was transparent and I said, I want to bring you back in.
Ooh.
I want to try it again. She became a lead for me. That's how good she was. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
that's what I'm saying.
And it's
Love
like,
that.
had I been unwilling to see the person, I would have passed, and I'm sure she would have gone and done great things at another company. But slow down a minute and remember, these are people. It's not just a body.
No, and you're right. I can take that piggyback off it. You don't hire the resume, right? You don't look at the resume because people can look really good on paper, but I think the true qualities come in when they are given that good approach delicately because it is nerve-wracking. It is hard, especially if you've been out of work for 90 days, you've gone through it, there's different emotions, you're running out of savings. It gets really hard. And I've
Mhm.
had some good conversations, Bridget, similar to yours, where I've said, you know what, let's take a step back on this. Let's look at it from where you're at now. Let's not make it a robotic, what do you do? What are you seeking type of conversation?
Yeah.
And I slowly, if I unpack that, I see their shoulders drop. They're more happy, like they're bubbly, they're
Yeah.
themselves, and they're like, they have their own little swag to themselves now, so to speak. And I'm like, that's where it's at,
Yeah.
so stick to that. And one thing I love to do to break the ice a little bit is for all my candidates, I give a little gem of what either the medical director or hospital manager enjoy doing, whether it's, biking, special books. And then when they go into the interview, because they're nervous, it's a little icebreaker. Oh, you like riding a bike or you like horseback riding. Me too.
Yeah.
Good conversation starter. And the number of feedback, I've been doing it for 12 years, and they text me, Jose, it worked. I wasn't nervous. They literally didn't drill me down like it wasn't. I told you he likes Harry Potter. I told you he likes reading this type of stuff. He loves fishing. And to your point, you bring in talent and you get them over that hump. Those become your true gems to your story.
Yeah.
They become the gems. Like they're like, dang, if you would have passed on me, and we would have never seen you flourish. So I
Yeah.
love that scenario, and I do it similar to that as well because I feel that it's nerve-wracking.
Of
It is.
course. What would be one piece of advice on the flip side that you would give the candidate?
Yeah.
So the person going in for an interview that's really nervous, what would you tell them?
I always tell them honestly, what I like to do is I don't try to handhold them as much because I want to empower them because I've baked out really good relationships with them, whether phone, video. I empower them. I'll share certain scenarios that they shared with me that they had to overcome a fear or imposter syndrome, and I bring them back to that. Like, remember that time you
Hmm.
said you weren't going to do that GDV surgery or exploratory, and what did you tell me? Like, Jose, I did it. How did you feel? Like, I was nervous. I couldn't sleep the night prior. Then what did you do that day? It's like I literally took my coffee, did my breathing mechanism that you taught me. I go on to these motivational tangents when I talk to candidates, Bridget, and I've gotten good feedback, but I tell them, go back to a scenario that you felt truly uncomfortable and you were fearful.
Yeah.
And how did you navigate that? And you made it out, correct? You're right. This is a similar thing. It's a human to human conversation. They're in the same profession you're in. Let's go back to that and tap into that. And then when they call me and they say, Jose, I tapped into it. I heard your little voice tell me in my head, I could do this. Like I
Yeah.
did it at BTV. Like I can have this conversation with this medical director or CEO. And after that, they just kind of flow into the conversation. They're themselves, to be honest with you. So I
Yeah.
tell them that tap into something that was your anchor that you navigated because we've all gone through those hard, fearful, whether it's a presentation, surgery, personal, we've navigated those. You have
Yeah.
the ability to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
No,
tell them
that's
that.
great. Well, Jose,
Yeah.
I know we're getting up on time, but I really appreciate you talking with me today. I mean, I find your insight so valuable, and naturally, you're just a joy to be around. So it's so good to connect with you, and I look forward to doing more episodes.
Bridget, I thank you for having me. And I
Yeah.
told you at the very beginning of this call, it's an honor to be still connected with you. We're going to celebrate our decade of
Yeah.
friendship. And you,
April.
April, I'm excited that I'm here and that you took the time to connect with me. Anybody listening to this podcast, I want to just share, don't be afraid to take chances, step out of your comfort zone, because I know someone's going to look at this as they're going to bed or as they're dealing with conflict or whatnot. So if this last thing, if you made it this far to the episode, be yourself. Don't be afraid of taking chances. That's where the true growth happens. It sounds cliche, but I'm telling you, it works. Break barriers, be yourself, and be authentic. And you can do it, to be honest with you. So thank you, Bridget, for having me. I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you.